Hi, Mia. Thank you for joining us today. So, today we have Mia Enriquez. So, she is the Partner Success Manager of Nook. So, hi, Mia.
Hi, Ginger. Thank you very much for having me.
Ayan. So, we have a lot of things to talk about today. Maybe you can tell us first, like, what do you do? What's your company about?
So I work for Nook, and Nook is the first mortgage brokerage company in the Philippines. We do home loans day in and day out. And as the partner success manager, what I do is really take care of all of the developers, all of the brokers and agents that we have. So coordination, a lot of coordination, documentary, signing.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, thank you. So before we jump into what Nook is about, no, like how to use it and all of those things, maybe you can tell us more about the Philippine real estate landscape. So how is it doing now?
So during the pandemic, like any other industry, we really took a hit. But if you look at it overall, including the years before it, we're still on the positive naman. So if you look at it between 2015 to 2021, the industry, actually the value of properties, average appreciation value of properties is still at 3.4%.
Mm.
So that means that if you buy a property back in 2015, that's at 3 million pesos. If you decide to sell it now, it's somewhere between 3.6 to 3.7 million. And that I think is a good indication given how many industries were hit during the pandemic. So we're recovering, and this 2022, we're very excited as well because with um, companies asking their employees to come back, offices are getting leased again. So along with that,
Yeah.
residential units, particularly in Metro Manila, are getting rented as well. So we're recovering slowly, but very strong. So
Nice. So in terms of like the people purchasing real estate properties during the pandemic, do you see it more for personal use or is it more for like business?
prior to that, a lot of the people talaga buying units, particularly in Metro Manila, were for investment. But during the pandemic, we saw them go out of Metro Manila and purchase properties in provincial areas. Now, in late 2021, there's a survey that actually went out. So we don't really have a number of how many people decided to buy properties, but we do have
Yeah.
the data of how many people have the intention of buying property. And during that, with that statistics, no, we were able to find out that about 70% of household in Metro Manila and areas outside of Metro Manila are wanting to put a real estate investment under their names.
Okay.
That's 39% actually, they want to buy single detached unit within the next 12 months. And then the remaining 31%, they wanted to buy vacant lots or property lots. So, the dream of wanting to own a property is there. And that's a good
Nice.
indication for the real estate industry as well.
That's good. That's good. So, in as compared to like previous years, so you mentioned the percentages now. Is this like a better number or is it yeah, is it a better number because I think you highlighted that.
It's a much better number because if we look back on the past years, a lot of us, particularly the ones in Metro Manila, are just hoping to rent. But now there's the demand for property ownership. That's why our outlook this 2022 really is very positive.
Oh, that's good. So I think um, the reason why probably people are now looking at properties as another source of like basically revenue or maybe to add to their investment portfolio. No, they're looking at real estate as a good investment maybe for themselves. No, so like right now you mentioned like provincial areas and then they were looking at properties not here in Metro Manila but in the provinces. So are there like hot locations that you'd like to share with us, like for people who are looking at investing?
Sure. So it has always been in the past years areas in Metro Manila talaga. You have Quezon City, Pasig, Makati, BGC. But there is one area on the rise, primarily because there are two government projects happening there right now. So there, that's Bulacan. So
Oh,
towns in Bulacan, we might see an increase in value of the lands there. Because there are two projects happening there right now. That's the MRT Line 7 and the airport, I think somewhere in Bocaue, Bulacan. So as it has always been, the closer we get to the completion of those projects, the higher the prices are going to be.
wow, interesting. Thank you for sharing that. So I'll look into Bulacan also. Okay, so in terms of like purchasing a property, I'm sure like a lot of us are very new to this, na, like buying our own properties here. So how does it normally go? Like maybe take us through the steps of normally what happens when you look for a property and buying that property.
Sure. So kasi in the Philippines, really, when we buy a property, it's a decision that we make over a period of time, no? And when you buy a property, apart from looking for different units, you also have to assess whether or not you can pay for it. So when we talk to clients, really we ask them for questions, and when they answer yes to these questions, then we help them out and we go ahead and apply for their home loan. So the first part of that is, can you pay the down payment? In the Philippines, the down payment is always around 20% of the total contract price. So if, say, you're looking at a 5 million property, you have to pay outright pay 1%. 1 million. And now, though, especially during the pandemic, developers have made it easier for Filipinos to pay that 1 million or that 20%. And that's through down payment over an extended period of time. It used to be that you can pay for the 1 million outright and then you move in.
Okay.
But now you can actually pay for 5% of that 20% and then you can move in. And then the 15%, you can pay for it between 3 to 5 years. So it is essentially, if you were renting, that becomes then your monthly rent. But the good thing is, it after you've paid for it, it's yours. You get to keep that property. So that's the first part. And that's the first question as well. If you can pay for the down payment, the second question that you have to answer is, can you pay for the monthly bills? And we're not just talking about the monthly payment on the house. We are also talking about utilities such as, electricity, phone bill, even the groceries. Because if you miss one, your whole financial tower will go down. So you have to be able to sort of shoulder all of this on your own because your parents are not going to be there to pay for it, or you don't have roommates anymore. This is going to be completely on the client. So if the answer is yes, the third is, can you still save about 5 to 10% of your um, monthly income comfortably? And that's because you never know when, a light bulb might turn on or like a pipe might leak. So you have to have that cushion and an emergency fund for when things like this happen. And also, kasi banks also look at this and say, okay, this person is doing very good in terms of financials, because not only is this person paying for monthly bills, this person is also, have a savings account. So that's always a good indication of a person's capacity to loan or to pay for a home loan. And then finally, the final question is, it doesn't matter if you can pay for the down payment. It doesn't matter if you can afford the the monthly bills, and it doesn't matter if you have a savings account. Will any bank give you a home loan? If the answer is no, then it will be very difficult for, a working Filipino to buy a house, because it's also affected by past financial mistakes.
Yeah.
So, the credit cards that have been left unpaid, or car loans that have been left unpaid, that affects one person's credit score. The misconception, though, is that if you have a canceled card, you'll never get a home loan. That is incorrect. You still can, but we have to rectify the mistakes done in the past. And that's where Nook comes in and sort of helps out in educating this client of what can be done.
Okay. So you mentioned that there are past mistakes nga, no? And that the bank really looks at your history, like your credit score. So in the Philippines, have you seen like a lot of like how is it in terms of like applying for a bank loan here? Is it difficult for Filipinos to get loans? Because I would imagine not a lot of people know about credit scores, financial history, diba? So maybe like take us through that. Like, what do you see in like in this market?
It's not that it's difficult to get a home loan, but when a client is not honest with the bank, or in this case with a home loan consultant, then that's when they risk getting a rejection. Because you can always lie on the application form. You can always lie to your home loan consultant and say, no, I don't have a canceled card. But you can never lie to CCI, which is our version of TransUnion, where all of our credit history is kept safe. So if that's not informed to the home loan consultant, then we will never be able to sort of solve that, or we cannot let the client know, actually, this is what you need to do first before you can apply for a home loan.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get rejected with Bank A, for example, it will take you another 6 months to reapply on that same bank if you lie on the first application.
Yeah,
So
that's long.
it's not that,
Oh,
yeah, it's very long as well. And imagine if, if your full payment for the property is already due,
oh
um,
yeah.
you will receive a penalty if you don't pay it on time. So that's really one thing that we ask our clients to do, to be really honest with us about their financial standing. In terms of how difficult it is, there really is, and this goes for Filipinos, no, because we don't really have that type of teaching back when we were in school. We didn't have, how to take care of your finances. We didn't have that. So we all had to go through it and maneuver this whole adulting period um,
Yeah.
together. So the past financial mistakes really, it plays a big part in whether or not you can get a home loan. But what we usually tell our clients is we will help them go through it, and we will help them basically find out how they can still do it, or how can they can still get a home loan.
Nice. I think in a previous conversation, Mia, we talked about the debt to income ratio, no? Magkano yung utang mo versus like yung kinikita mo, 'di ba? So,
Yes.
you mentioned that also banks look at that, no? So, maybe like how much is it for the appreciation of our viewers?
Sure. So if you are planning to get a home loan or any type of loan, actually, the accumulation of all of your loans can only be up to 30% of your income. So if you are earning about 100,000 pesos, let's say, your loan can only be until 30,000 pesos. And that's your car loans, home loans, personal loans, what have you. If your loan exceeds that, and then you add a home loan on top of that, the bank will already say no. And that's just because, you have your bills pa, you have your other personal expenses. Of course, the banks naman would not give you a loan knowing that you're gonna have a hard time paying afterwards. So again, that's 30% to 70%, 30 to 70 debt to income ratio.
Okay, nice. Thank you for that. So, okay, so now here comes your company, no? So, like, what is the difference of using Nook versus like just going through the process myself?
So the way I always explain Nook is it's a new world solution to a very old world problem. So it used to be that if you want to get a home loan, you have to go to several different banks, fill out multiple application forms, pay several appraisal fees, and then months later, you'll find out you're not qualified to get a home loan. And then by the time that you get the result from Bank A, you're thinking to yourself, oh, probably all banks are not going to give me a home loan. But actually, it is possible that Bank D will give you a home loan. It's just that you applied to a bank where their minimum income requirement doesn't suit the minimum income requirement of the client. So with Nook, the client does not have to go through this several banks.
Mm-mm.
All they have to do is attend a consultation call with Nook, and we are able to identify with just within 3 minutes which banks are able to give them a home loan.
Wow.
And from there, we'll collect all of the documents from them. We'll coordinate directly with their developer, and then we'll submit the documents to the bank. And then all they have to do really is wait and just wait for their home loan to get approved, and that's it.
Wow, so easy pala. That's so easy. So, in terms of the documents, what do you need? I assume that these are the things that they need to submit to you, no?
Yes. So I would like to divide that actually to two things, to two different parts, because there's documents before we submit it to the bank and then the documents after they get approved. So the documents we need from the client pre-submission is just four. That's two valid government issued photo IDs. So passport, license, PRC ID, just a photo ID, two. And then two proof of income for employees, that's payslip, certificate of employment, and then for business owners, ITR, bank accounts. And then the third one is for their status, marriage status. So either a marriage certificate or a certificate of no marriage. And then the final one is once they've chosen a bank, just the application form,
Okay.
just those four. Because everything else we actually need will come from the developer. The
Mm.
developer will provide us, or the seller will provide us the title, contract to sell, tax mapping, tax declaration, all that. So there's this notion that there's a lot of documentary requirements when you apply for a home loan. That's true, but a lot of it will come from the developer. So because Nook has a relationship with these developers as well, we take that out from the worry, we take that out from the client already, and we get it directly from the developer. That's how we submit it to the bank. And
Okay.
then the second part is the post approval. And that's just when we need things notarized. For example, the title, it now has to be notarized because when developers send it to us, it's usually just the draft.
Yeah.
But once it gets approved, then we need a notarized, and then the loan signing documents. And then that's it. The bank releases the loan and they get to pay for their property in full.
Wow. So talagang this is like time and effort saved, no? For
Absolutely.
the buyer. Yeah. So you mentioned like you have a relationship with the developers. So do I tell you like which property I want to buy, or do you like have a list of properties that I can buy, or it can be both?
It can actually be both. No, on our website, we already have a list of all the developers we have, developers, construction companies, and real estate agencies and brokers. So you can already have a look there and contact anyone you want. Alternatively, if you already have a property in mind, you can just let us know who the contact person is, and then we'll negotiate. We'll coordinate directly with them.
Oh
So
wow.
very very simple.
Ang dali. It's like having a secretary for all of these things pala.
Exactly.
Okay, so like is it limited to houses? I'm sure ito yung mga questions nila na. Is it limited to just houses or pwede rin condo units? How about lots or commercial property?
So Nook actually takes care of all types of residential loans.
Residential.
So we have home loan, which is for purchase. We have construction loan, where you have a vacant lot, there's nothing built there, and you build something. We
Yeah.
have home improvement loan, where there's already something there and you want to add, let's say, a room, or you want to fix the roof. That's home improvement. We also have refinancing, where you have a loan with another bank and you want to either lower down your monthly mortgage or you want to consolidate your debt. So we can do that as well. And then we also have equity, where you have another property with a clean title and you want to use that property as a collateral so that you can invest in another property. So
Oh,
we have
pwede
a few.
rin. Pala ganon.
Yes.
So if I have like a condo unit, I can use this so that if ever I can borrow for another property.
Correct. Yes.
Wow. How about ito Mia? I know of like a few friends who like want to buy farm like little farmlands, 'di ba? Uso yan eh, 'di ba? And also
Mm-hmm.
like land near beaches, 'di ba? They wanna uproot themselves from Metro Manila and stay in the provinces. Is that like included also? It doesn't really matter which type of like properties.
So as long as the land title says it's a residential
Ah,
property,
that's where you see.
Nook can take care of it. Yes.
Okay, in the title. Okay, got
Yes, the title.
Okay, so in terms of like co-borrowers, I think we mentioned or we talked about this in one conversation that we had. Mia. Like, how does that work? What is a co-borrower for those who haven't really borrowed before? No, what's the basically the role or what are the like responsibilities and accountability of that person?
So a co-borrower is someone whose name will appear as well on the documents that you will sign with the bank. Essentially, that means that if the primary borrower doesn't pay, the bank will try and contact the co-borrower. So what you recommend usually is that a co-borrower has to be a family member, like a parent, a sister, brother, just so you all know really what each other's financial standing is. There are also some cases where friends buy properties together. In that case, we request that they become co-mortgagor and co-borrower. By co-mortgagor, we mean that their name now has to appear on the title as well, apart from the loan documents.
Okay.
And this usually happens when the income of the primary borrower is not enough
Mm-mm.
to apply for a loan.
Okay, so a co-mortgager is different from a co-borrower.
Yes,
That's right. Okay,
it's very,
so
very different.
the co-mortgager has to have the name and the title as well. The co-borrower just sort of like vets, I guess, if the
Correct.
person can
Yes.
can pay for it or not. All right. Another question. In terms of like the documents that you need, are there any documents that would disallow probably like Filipinos who are not in the Philippines, or can they also like buy properties even if they're not here physically in the Philippines?
Absolutely. So we've had a few cases where OFWs buy properties in the Philippines. In that case, the OFW just has to give us the name of the person who's going to be an attorney, in fact. So, in banking terms, that's AIF. So, the AIF will sign the document on their behalf, provided that the AIF has the special power of attorney or SPA.
Got it.
So,
So
there's two
someone they
terms there
trust.
that correct, absolutely. Because this person is signing on their behalf. So they really have to trust this person. They have to have constant communication with this person as well.
Mm-mm. So attorney in fact and an SPA. SPA is the document. Attorney in fact is the
Correct.
person, correct? Like that you
Correct.
nominate.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so in terms of how about foreigners? I know that we're looking at investors, diba, from other countries.
Yes.
Are they allowed to like buy properties here in the Philippines?
Foreigners are allowed to buy condominiums, but they are not allowed to, or they are not permitted to buy lots, vacant lots, or
Oh,
house and lots.
all right. So pwedeng
And that's something. Sorry.
so they can buy condo units. Okay.
Yes, condominiums are okay, but lots really, we reserve them for Filipinos, and that's also a law here in the Philippines.
Oh wow, that's interesting. That's something new that I haven't really like learned in the past. No? Okay, so I think we that's it. No, I'm sure that we'll have a lot of questions from the viewers, and then later on maybe we can invite Mia again to guest here. Anything that you want to share about Nook, Mia?
So right now, Nook has a promotion whereby if your application gets approved and released, we give you some cash back.
Oh wow.
And we also have a promotion where, in the same promotion, if you apply for a loan through Nook, you will get discounts and vouchers from some of our retail partners. This includes, Shopee, Shopback, Lazada, sorry, Shopee, Shopback, Handyman,
Yeah.
extreme appliances, and many others. So,
Nice.
we'll help you at Nook. So do get in touch with us. Our website is nook.com.ph.
Okay, so we will share the link in the show notes below, no? So that they can just click on that and then they can go to your site. Ang saya naman. So you get to buy a home and then you have pang shopping pa for the things that
Correct.
you need
Yes.
inside, right? So there.
Yes.
All
Because
right. Yeah.
really here at Nook, our vision is to empower Filipinos to own their home. That's what we want to happen in the next 15 years. Like 1 million families have their homes
I love
because of Nook.
I
So
love it.
yeah.
Wait, last question. Like I know that there are a lot of like different kinds of properties, obviously, and I know the price range is so huge. No, you can find properties that are like 1 million, and then there are like properties that are 100 million. So, in terms of what you see right now in the market, what's the most saleable? Like, what range normally do the buyers get?
Um, so it really depends. Metro Manila properties, the average that you get is about 5 million to 6 million.
Okay.
We have a higher tier at 9 million, and that's for the two bedrooms in between Pasig, BGC, and
Yeah.
Makati. However, we also have properties, or we have partners in South Luzon. So the average loan amount that we usually get for them are between 2 to 3 million.
Okay, that's at least they know diba, that these are the
Mhm.
costs usually of the properties and that they can get a loan. All right, thank you so much, Mia. I
Thank
hope
you very much for having me.
yeah, I hope you can guest again soon.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank
bye
you.
bye.